Hi everyone, welcome to the Whiteleyverse with me, Connor Whiteley, for another daily story with a chapter from one of my novellas. Before I start today's chapter, please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content, and the engagement really helps the Whiteleyverse with the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you want to buy this book and any of my other fiction, then they're all available from all major ebook retailers. You can order the paperback and hardback copies from Amazon, your local bookstore and local library if you requested. Also, if you want the AI generated audiobook, then you can get it from selected audiobook platforms and library systems like Kobo, Spotify, Barnes & Noble, Google Play, Baker & Taylor, Biblioteca and Overdrive. Now, here's today's chapter. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did writing it.
Chapter 1. The 3rd of May 2024. Canterbury, England. Private Investigator Bettie English should have known it was a set-up from the start. Her dear friend and Member of Parliament for Canterbury, Schuyler Mason, never invited her and her beautiful partner in life and investigations, Graham Adams, to dinner. Betty had flat out loved the rows upon rows of bronze, gold and silver pots of boiling and bubbling hot stews on the dark oak table, for them to enjoy. The pots were so small and cute, that they really added such a brilliant rustic charm to the entire home. She hadn't expected Schuyler to live in one of the ancient houses from centuries ago. The house was tiny compared to modern homes with its cold solid stone flooring, that made Betty feel like she was stepping into a fairy tale, where at any moment a witch was going to jump out and attack her. The thick dark wooden beams that lined the walls and ceiling, that was a little too low for Graham's comfort, added a depth that she hadn't even realized until now she liked. She was so used to her own modern airy kitchen with highlights of copper and rose gold, covering everything that she hadn't realized, sometimes she just missed the old touches that iron and wood could add. At least the dining room chairs were modern and comfortable. Betty doubted she could have sat through an entire meal on ancient, lumpy and uncomfortable chairs. Schuyler was a brilliant speaker, and Betty loved debating politics, security and investigations with her because they were both two peas in a pod, but even Betty had her limits. A cold, hard, lumpy wooden chair was not her idea of fun. Yet it was still a setup. Betty just frowned and stared over all the amazing posh and decadent decanters of fine and expensive coffee, to see the newly elected police and crime commissioner sitting directly opposite her. The wonderful decanters might have combined brilliantly with the juicy beef and sausage stews that bubbled away in the cute pots, but the commissioner's powerful, almost choking, earthy aftershave stuck in the back of her throat. It wasn't exactly like Betty had been trying to avoid the candidate for the past 2 weeks. Jordan McAdams had only been calling her daily, and trying to book an appointment with her. She had no idea why Jordan wanted to meet her so badly, but she made it a personal rule to simply avoid political figures until they were even elected, or she couldn't. Clearly she no longer had that lovely option, and Schuyler was in on it. The little traitor. "Commissioner Jordan," Betty said, "why have you summoned me here?" Betty almost smiled, as Jordan pretended to look offended. She had to admit that Jordan looked good in his expensive, slightly shiny business suit, with a few highlights of gold threads running through it. He looked better and more professional than she did in her blue jeans, white blouse and black trainers. Then again, she thought this was a safe space amongst friends. Graham, sitting in the chair next to her, leant forward. Betty couldn't deny Graham looked stunning tonight in his tight black jeans and white shirt that left little to the imagination. She was looking forward to exploring his sexy body later on, and it was even better that her nephew Sean and his boyfriend Harry were looking after the kids tonight. There was no rush to get home. "I'm sorry, Bet," Schuyler said, serving herself up a large bowl of the delicious sausage stew. All she wanted to do right now was go home and be with the nephew, kids and partner she loved. She didn't want to be ambushed. "Miss English," Jordan said, "it is an absolute honor to meet you after you've been avoiding my calls. I understand you have a federation to run, but I am an important figure." Betty smiled. She might have been president of the British Private Eye Federation, an organization with more power than most small governments because of its blackmail articles. But Jordan actually thought she owed him something and her time. He really was a political fool. I was elected yesterday by the great people of Kent, and I aim to deliver for them, Jordan said. Betty just looked at Skylar and rolled her eyes. Jordan didn't even seem to notice. She might not have voted for Jordan yesterday, but he wasn't a bad candidate. He was about research, following the evidence, and investing in rehabilitation for offenders, because all the research showed that was what reduced reoffending rates. Prison sentences were next to useless at reducing crime rates. The cold truth was still, Jordan was only police and crime commissioner, because the last one had retired, and the people were sick and tired of the main political parties in the UK. So they elected an independent like Skylar. Betty stood up. Mr. McAdams, I am a very busy woman, and it is rare enough that I allow myself a night off with friends. I was looking forward to a nice dinner with a friend. I am not interested in becoming just another political pawn. Graham stood up too. And we all know the commissioner is simply a useless political position. You are nothing more than a PR man for the police. Incorrect, Jordan said, standing up. Skylar stayed seated, just enjoying her stew. The commissioner is a meaningful and important role. I am the link between the Home Office and Kent Police, and I make sure that the people's voice is heard by the police. Graham shook his head and went to leave, but Betty didn't, and she cocked her head. Jordan actually had a rare conviction, sense of purpose, and he really did believe he was the voice of the people. In her experience, that normally meant he was completely insane and a power-hungry idiot, or he was actually a good person. Betty really wanted to find out which. Little did she realize the answer to that question would lead her into a whole world of trouble. Just how she liked it.
Welcome back everyone, it's me again, Connor Whiteley. So I really hope that you enjoyed today's story, because I flat out love writing, creating stories and sharing them with you. If you really enjoyed today's story, then please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content, and the engagement really helps the Whiteleyverse with the YouTube algorithms. And if you want to buy this short story or any of my other fiction, then they're available from all major ebook retailers, and you can get them from your local library if you requested, and you can order the paperback copies from Amazon, your local bookstore or local library if you request it. Lastly, if you want to support the channel on a one-off basis, then you can now buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Connor Whiteley. Also, if you know anyone who would enjoy today's story, then please share it with them. I'm always really grateful when you wonderful people help spread the word about the channel. So, thanks for watching the Whiteleyverse, and I'll see you again soon. Have a great day, everyone.